few minutes in 1 Samuel. We're in the first chapter. The last time, in the last session, we talked about, in opening up this thing with, opening up 1 Samuel, we talked about an Old Testament prayer language. And so now in 1 Samuel, few minutes in 1 Samuel, we want to talk about Old Testament prayer therapy. We'll be looking at verses 17 and 18. 17 reads like this. In that case, Eli is now responding to her answer that she said she was not drunk. In that case, Eli said, go in peace. May the God of Israel grant the request you have asked of him. Oh, thank you, sir, she exclaimed. Then she went back and began to eat again, and she was no longer sad. I tell you, that is some kind of praying. Do you know, if you pray faithfully, as we mentioned in a session or two ago, that prayer itself is therapeutic. Not the answer, the praying. If you know who your God is, and you know his assurances of hearing your prayers, if you know to approach him, a holy God, approach him as a believer who is living consciously, who is living retrospect of your own life. That doesn't mean that you're without sin. None of us are. But it does mean there's no scandalous activity in your life. There's no debaucherous activity in your life. You're able to go before God, knowing his record, knowing his faithfulness, and crying out sincerely to him. If you put what I just said together, a life of believing who God is, believing his record, going before him as a believer who walks in accountability, who walks conscientiously, who walks in retrospect of your own life, knowing and asking for forgiveness, knowing that you give your best to the master. You know good and well, it's not because you give the best, but I'm just saying so that there is no wall in your fellowship, so that when you share with him, when you're crying out to him, and when it's done and you've cried and you've given it to him, you can be just like her. You can be just like her. It will answer the questions. It will answer the issues. It's answered. When we get to the book of Hebrews and it begins to talk about faith, faith is the very substance of the thing you hope for. Her prayers, as Jesus would have it, persons who pray persistently, they are demonstrating their faith. And it was seen by a priest. When it actually happened, he confirmed the fact and affirmed her in what she was doing. That's often needed. We need to share with people the things that are really a burden on our hearts if we can. And she had a desire that was a virtuous desire. It wasn't a desire to overcome something heinous in her life, something scandalous in her life, something debaucherous in our lives, where sometimes those kinds of things we only can go to God ourselves. However, every time we have a chance, we want to try to get affirmation and confirmation of what it is that we're asking the Lord. And so it was therapeutic. She got up, and the scripture says she wasn't sad. That is Old Testament.